Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our program today. I'm Julie Zazada, the Executive Director here at the Cedar Lake Historical Association. We are so happy to have you at the Museum at Lassen's Resort this afternoon for Culinary Anthropology with Chef Erik Hinds, and Dr. Ezekiel Flannery was called away on a family situation, so he actually won't be here with us today, but we have some other people stepping in to also help with our program. So Chef Erik, though, consulted with him in advance and has prepared lots of tasty dishes for us today. So Culinary Anthropology, if you were not here for the first presentation, Culinary Anthropology series is funded by a grant from Indiana Humanities with support from the National Endowment for the Humanities. So that is the reason we're able to keep the cost so affordable, is because the vast majority of what we're doing today has been grant funded. So please make sure you go out to Indiana Humanities, to their Facebook page, give them a like, give them a follow. They're funding a lot of amazing programs for us this year. We're really happy about that. So if you did miss that first program, the traditional food cultures of Northwest Indiana, that was with Dr. Flannery. That's recorded. It's up on our YouTube channel. It'll be there for 2 more weeks. So if you missed that, you can go ahead and jump on to the channel and watch the presentation. It kind of sets the stage for what we're doing a little bit here today. But Anna, Chef Erik's partner, is also going to be explaining the choices that he's made and why. So you don't necessarily need to have seen that in advance. Let's see, what else? Oh yes, May 3rd. While you're at the YouTube channel, just in case you did not catch that presentation of May 3rd, you weren't here with us in person, you can watch that as well to see kind of what we have up our sleeve for this year. So really excited about all of that. The third piece of the Culinary Anthropology grant is going to be the development of an exhibit in Museum Gallery Room 1. So that will be coming. We're going to unveil that on Wednesday, July 24th. So you definitely want to save the date to kind of come see this whole grant come full circle with our permanent exhibit that we end up putting in. And it's going to feature highlights about the Potawatomi culinary heritage. So this will be something that long after the forks are thrown away from today's presentation, we have some content and some material to be able to share and refer to always at the museum. We're also going to have a land acknowledgement reception, so we're still working on that, but that is also funded by an Indiana Humanities grant. So we'll tell you more about that, and that will be unveiled as well on July 24th. So, wait, hold on, I gotta go back, because guess what? I gotta remind you, it's steamboat season. We are beginning steamboat rides on Wednesday. We cannot wait. It's going to be a wonderful season. Wait until you see Steamer Dewey. I have spent about 30 hours under and on and around. She's gotten a completely new paint job. She is now going to be featuring salty dog blue on her hull, mahogany rub rails, and she's also going to get a, what should we say, a champagne mist metal accent. So all of her uprights have also been repainted, and she's getting a new valance. So I can't wait for you to see her. So if you haven't, but really, actually, that's not the most important thing that's happened during the off-season. Engineer Ted and his crew have been working to upgrade her burner system. So we're going to have a whole new process, and he's going to explain all of that. You got to come for a ride. He'll explain what he's done and how that process is going. So tickets are on sale. Hope you're going to steam with us, whether it's your first time or you're coming back again. You're going to love it. Now I can advance the slide. We also have our sunset dinner cruises that are beginning. They start on June 17th. All the June dates are sold except for June 20th. And then we also have dates through July and all the way through September. Now, I don't know if I've explained this before, so I want to just give a little bit of background about how this program works, the Sunset Dinner Cruises. You gather 5 of your friends, and you just charter the whole boat, bring your favorite beverages along with you, and meet at the museum. Once you get here, you go down the pier and board Baby Dewey. She's the one who's sitting outside in the parking lot. You board her. She'll be in the lake at that point. And then Chef Erik's going to bring down a freshly prepared 4-course meal to you while we send you off for a cruise around the lake. And then you will come back in time before sunset to get your position in the rocking chairs. And Chef Erik will bring you your dessert as you wait for the sun to set over magnificent Cedar Lake. So that's how that program is structured. Like I said, you just charter the entire boat. It's $450 for up to 6 people, and you are able to have your full meal as well as about 60-70 minute boat cruise around the lake. So that is the Sunset Dinner Cruise experience. So hopefully some of you are going to want to be trying that this year. Again, dates are starting. We got one more date in June, and we'll be running all the way through September. Select Mondays and Thursdays. There's just one boat a night, and it's on Mondays and Thursdays. And then Wednesday is always Steamboat Day. Okay.
What's the menu?
We are going to have chicken. There will be, let me think here, chicken. Oh, there you are. You're on the other side, my friend.
I didn't know where I should come in.
You're going to come around the other side. But chicken.
I'll be right back.
Oh, here it is. Because you might not be in the frame. Chicken.
Yeah, so...
Sunset Dinner Cruise.
Sunset Dinner Cruise? Okay, yeah, so we're going to have a it's a chicken leg, but we're calling it our Mastodon Lollipop. They're chicken legs that have been lollipop style, so like it has like an exposed bone. They're going to be smoked, and they're going to have a maple glaze. And we're going to have...
Salmon. That's the chicken.
Yeah, so then we're going to have an SLT, which is like a BLT, but it's going to be with smoked salmon instead. We're going to have our prime rib sandwiches.
Inspired by Toes.
Yep, Toad's prime rib sandwich.
Little sliders. Everything is like a little small plate. So.
We're going to have...
potatoes?
Yeah, maybe sweet Duchess potatoes.
Okay.
I'm still kind of... We've been so busy doing like so many different things. I haven't settled on the final menu, but I have a pretty good idea of what everything is going to be.
Yes.
So we're going to have the Duchess potatoes or sweet Duchess potatoes. I haven't decided yet, and I reserve that right to be like that until it's done. And then dessert is going to be our apple Dutch baby. I don't know if anybody here knows what a Dutch baby is. It's like a fluffy pancake that's made in a big old cast iron. And that's going to be served with like caramel apples and house-made ice cream. And then a more salted caramel on top of it.
Delicious. All right, so that's the menu. Okay, now you go to the other side of the screen because that's your spot over there, remember? Yes, please. Thank you. Okay. All right. So now, one more announcement. I would be remiss if I did not remind you about the exhibit of the Calumet Voices National Story. That's our exhibit that's been rotating around the region for a couple of years. She is now, everything is now all set up at the Welcome Center right off Kennedy Avenue in Hammond. And the truck is able to be a part of this exhibition now. That's going on till October 6th. They are open every day of the week. So whenever you can go out there, it's like 8 to 5, please go up and check out the exhibit. So the ice truck is up there, some other Cedar Lake artifacts, as well as about 15 other organizations with their artifacts from the Calumet Region Heritage. So really wonderful program, and it's free, completely free for you to be able to experience that. So we hope that you'll take that opportunity before October 6th to check it out. And take a picture next to the truck when you do, because you can post that to her Facebook page. She has her very own Facebook page, you know. So we would like to see pictures of people going to visit the ice truck, all right? Oh, I have one last reminder before I introduce you. We launched an additional culinary experience last month. Flavors of History is craft-made, small batch ice cream, handcrafted with the finest all-natural ingredients and no preservatives, prepared exclusively for the Museum at Lassen's Resort by Chef Erik. Every flavor has a historic inspiration. So today, as part of your Taste of Potawatomi Heritage Program, you will be the very first to sample our sassafras ice cream with Juneberry compote. So that's a new flavor being debuted today.
Juneberry compote and graham cracker.
Oh, and a graham cracker. No, graham cracker crumb goes on Binion's berry pie.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
He'll explain what's on your ice cream later. Okay, that comes later.
Don't listen to me. Okay?
It's good.
I'll be talking through the food.
Yes.
That's why I'm not a public speaker.
Yeah, and then in case you want to take a treat home to somebody who missed today, we do still have some cups of Binion's berry pie left. So that was our flavor, of course, inspired by Binion's Resort, which was just over here on the point. You learn about that when you're on the steamboat. That was fresh mixed berry compote folded into handcrafted vanilla ice cream and topped with a graham cracker crumble. It's It's absolutely delicious, and like I said, if you want to buy a couple of cups of that to take home, or maybe for your dessert later tonight, you can do that. But the restaurant, like I said, was known for not only their chicken dinners, but fresh berry pies. And so that's where we got that inspiration from for that particular flavor. So that whole process is going to roll out throughout the course of the summer. So specifically on July 7th, that is Summerfest weekend, instead of a pie and ice cream social this year, we're having an ice cream social. And so you'll be able to have a couple of other flavors that Chef Erik comes up with, and you'll be able to sample those and buy some of that weekend. So for those of you who do not know, this is our executive chef, Erik Hinds. Erik joined us last fall, did a couple of sample programs for us. We were doing some concepting and whatnot, and we were able to come up with some amazing brainstorms to go ahead and create all these culinary experiences for you. So Chef Erik, we cut the ribbon on May 3rd and introduced him formally. And you debuted our sparkling Lassen's lemonade that day, as well as our Flapper Girl popcorn. So we also have a couple of other things up our sleeves that he's already been debuting and doing. But this is really our first big program, I would say, of the season. So,
and unfortunately, the lemonade and the popcorn we're not sharing today, and that's because we wanted to give the Potawatomi their respect and really just focus on their cuisine.
Yes.
So come back again, and you'll get the lemonade and the popcorn.
Absolutely. Yes. So, Chef Hinds, would you please explain who you are and all that, and then we will roll into the presentation.
Yes.
Thank you.
As she said, I am Chef Erik Allen Hinds. And I've been cooking, I just turned 40 in May, and I've been cooking since I was 15. Kind of been bred into it. Both sides of my family kind of worked in the restaurant industry. Both sides of my family have owned restaurants in Chicago. So I've been doing this my whole life. Me and my girlfriend, Anna, who's serving people tea right now, we actually met first time at the Lighthouse when they first opened. We were original hires, so we were part of the original crew of the Lighthouse. And since then, we've been together 15 years now, and we've been on all sorts of culinary adventures with each other, and this is our latest venture. So we're really excited to share everything that we got. And I guess that's going to bring us to course 1 today. So, what?
Remember you're introducing...
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. See, this is why I have these women around me. I'm so scatterbrained, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so before we get started, I did want to introduce a couple friends of ours, our newest partners that we've been working with. They helped us out very much with this event. It is Reed Swenson and his wife Nicole, and they own Edifon Farm in Crown Point, and they grow a lot of cool stuff, a lot of like indigenous plants, like everything, pretty much everything that we sourced today for this menu came from them. They are very knowledgeable. They're excellent people. They're like experts when it comes to indigenous plants and also mushrooms. They grow their own mushrooms. So are they ready to? Oh, they're right here. So if you guys want to come up with a moment and
Sure.
just talk about yourselves for a second.
Sure. Hi, I'm Reed. And like Erik said, we started our farm operation in Crown Point when we moved. We moved to Crown Point in 2019 and just started going for it. So one of the things that really excited about with this partnership is the idea of basically fostering a culture of food in this region. There's a chef in Minnesota named Sean Sherman. He goes by the Sioux Chef, and after reading some of his book, kind of that idea clicked that there's not really an indigenous American food culture, at least that is recognizable today. So this feels like kind of what we've been waiting for someone to do, is start working on that in a local sense. So obviously there's people like Sean Sherman and elsewhere who are doing these kinds of things, but as far as we know, there's not a lot going on here. So we've been trying to bring some of these things to farmers markets, June berries, milkweed. If we had wild rice, that would be really cool.
Corn.
Yeah, corn, all sorts of things. So that's sort of our angle, is trying to bring unique stuff that people aren't necessarily exposed to and create something more interesting that feels like ours, like as a community. So, and then Nicole, background in Chinese medicine, teas, herbs.
Yeah, some of the herbs that we've used in the tea, some of them are like astragalus or more of the Chinese from origins, but the idea being that using, you know, roots, leaves, stems, being able to bring that all together and still have medicinal benefits through natural products that are found in your backyard or in your park, or so yeah, it's hopefully, and then we put in some maple syrup in there, so if anybody's allergic, just don't drink the tea then. But otherwise there's no citrus in there. It's mulberry root, or I'm sorry, the twig, the fruit, the leaves, comfrey, stinging nettle, and I think that's it, and astragalus. So enjoy that.
And a lot of these things also, part of what we appreciate about what you're doing and what is different than normal dining is these things are hyper seasonal. So Erik had sent us a menu before, and I had to inform him that we couldn't get some of those things. So the milkweed flowers have not opened yet. We can't use those, but milkweed buds are starting to come in. So we'll talk about that as the first dish, but that's eating seasonally. It's important.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more sustainable, and it gives us an appreciation for what we have now, and not so much looking forward to something that we can get another, from somewhere, from someone else, from somewhere else, from some other time.
That we have no idea about.
Slow down a little bit. Enjoy what's in our backyard.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you
thank you very much,
so
guys.
much.
All right, so real quick, I'm just going to describe the first dish just because I want you guys to taste it. So, Potawatomi berry rice. Originally, I was going to do like a salad as the first dish, but I was like, you know what, scratch that. I really feel like the first dish should reflect, what a true Potawatomi dish would be. And they eat a lot of, wild rice, berries, nuts, and they season their food almost primarily with maple syrup because they didn't have salt. So a lot of their food was a little on the sweet side. So, and you're going to kind of taste that. It's not, I wouldn't consider it a dessert dish, but it does have a very nice sweetness to it. With that, I think we're going to start getting it for you. So we'll be right back.
So while you all are enjoying your delicious food, I hope you all like it. I feel like I'm seeing some happy faces. I wanted to talk a little bit too just about some Potawatomi connections, a little bit more of history that Chef Erik touched on. So one thing that I really love about learning about the Potawatomi people is they actually named their seasons and marked time by the food that they can gather or harvest. So the awesome thing is June is the berry moon, or the strawberry moon. So that has a lot of connotations as far as the idea it was the time of plenty. The Potawatomi actually settled right where we're at on the east side. So it's really exciting to think that this is the time where this area would be so alive with feasts and celebrations, the gathering of fruits. They also called the strawberry the heartberry, not just for its shape, but also because it has a lot of heart. It's a very heart-healthy fruit to eat. So it's something that is the mark of a time of plenty. Beyond that, wild rice.
wild rice was also known as monomic, which meant the good seed. So something that is really exciting about Potawatomi culture is the way that they harvested the land. So for them, indigenous ecology was very much about the cooperation of all different systems. So they did not have a word for weeds. I don't know who was here for Dr. Flannery's presentation. Okay, so a couple people. So Dr. Flannery, Ezekiel Flannery, he is an ethnobotanist of the area and also an expert in Potawatomi culture. And so in his first presentation in regards to this program, he gave a really interesting fact, which was the Potawatomi do not have a word for weeds. It's not a concept of theirs because everything has its place, whether it's something that we can enjoy nutritionally, medicinally, or if it's just something that supports the general ecology. So something that's really awesome is this area, Northwest Indiana, was filled with wild rice beds. They were everywhere. And we also, cranberry bogs, there's a cranberry bog that was out north. And the awesome thing about these two types of agriculture is they supported a bunch of wildlife, supported fish, insects, other plants. So it really was something that their harvesting of the land actually added to the ecology and biodiversity of the area, which is really great. Beyond that, Chef Erik touched a little bit about how the Potawatomi had a sweet tooth. And that was because they didn't have some of the traditional seasonings that we use today. So they actually used maple syrup, and also they would make maple sugar. So they would take that syrup, they would boil it down, and then they would make and crush it up into a nice sugar so they could have it throughout the winter. And so they used a lot of that as their seasoning. And it was a really, the process of it was a very much so community event. So it was also something that was very ceremonial, and that was very a part of their spiritual connection to the land as well. As you see, this picture here is actually from the Chelford Bailey farm. I don't know if any of you guys have gone to the maple syrup time that they have there. That's out in Chesterton. Please visit it whenever you have a chance. It's 2 homesteads, and every year they have a big maple syrup fest. And they actually show you multiple stages about how maple syrup was made, not just by the indigenous people, but then continuing on to the European settlers, how they did that. So it is just a really exciting part of their history that you can taste, and it's delicious. So, and then a little bit too about those little strawberries that you see. Kind of go back here. So these little white strawberries are alpine strawberries, also known as woodland strawberries. So this is more akin to something that you'd find in the wild. So not those big red ones that we see, that we get at the store. These are more akin to actually the ones that they would have foraged and found. And then we have the mulberry tree here, and that is a part of our friend's property. The awesome thing is you just throw a tarp down and shake the tree, and it just gives you what it wants to give you. All the ripe fruits fall down. You see mulberry everywhere. It's also a native plant that supports a variety of life. Right now, filled with cicadas everywhere, so they really enjoy it.
I hope everybody liked the first course. So for course 2, we are highlighting milkweed. So milkweed is one of those indigenous plants that you probably see all over the place when you're driving around, and nobody gives a second thought to them. So this is actually yesterday. Was it yesterday that we came and helped you harvest the? Yeah, that was yesterday. That we harvested these milkweed buds that we're about to serve to you.
Okay.
So these are going to be tempura fried. And they're going to be served with a brie cheese in plum sauce, and then also garnished with another edible flower, which is a hairy vetch, a very beautiful flower. And so I decided to do the brie cheese cream just because, when you cut anything off of these milkweed pods or the milkweed plants, you'll notice immediately they start oozing this white liquid. And That's where they get the term milkweed. It looks like milk. So I decided to kind of play with that and do the brie cheese. So the brie cheese drizzle on it, it looks like the milkweed sap that's coming out of it, but it's not. So, so the white sap that comes out of milkweed, that is a latex sap. And so when you cook it, it does, the latex sap kind of denatures and kind of goes away. So it's not going to be a problem, but just if anybody does have an allergy to latex, they might have some sort of reaction, but it is safe to eat.
Something that is really awesome about milkweed is the Potawatomi people enjoyed milkweed not only as a food, but they also used it for medicinal purposes. So they would actually use it as a stomach medicine for chest discomfort and a lot of other ailments. So another thing that they really recognize milkweed for is the only plant that a monarch caterpillar can eat is a milkweed plant. So no milkweed plants, no monarch butterflies. And something that's really awesome is that if you see in this picture, Erik is cutting off the bud of the milkweed, and that actually helps their growth. So it helps the milkweed flourish and grow. And currently, the current people of the Potawatomi Nation, they've partnered with some monarch habitat building initiatives, and they're actually working to restore the milkweed population across the Midwest. So they're doing that, not only because it's a part of their tradition and a part of bigger ecology, but it also helps the resurgence for the monarch butterflies. So if you, on your own, go do this and you're cutting the tops off of the milkweed plant, you're also helping butterflies.
All right, so I see everybody, nobody's had no reaction to the latex, so I think we're good. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. So course 3, we have pecan and hazelnut crusted walleye with quinoa, hominy corn, and what kind of beans I use? Lima beans, yes, thank you. Lima beans and zoodles with a strawberry gastrique, or a strawberry chipotle gastrique. So this is inspired by the Three Sisters. The Three Sisters is like a concept, like a growing concept, like a farming growing concept with Potawatomi, where like the corn, the zucchini, and the beans, they all help each other grow. Like they would plant them all next to each other, and they would like, I think you might know a little bit more about this. So like one of them is like a support for, I think like the corn is a support for like the beans, because the beans kind of like grow up the corn, and then it gives like shade for the squash, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they all kind of work together, and it's like it just kind of like goes off of the whole mantra that the Potawatomi had with like, how they grew their food, like everything has, a purpose. Even if the Potawatomi were not eating it themselves, they knew like this plant that we would just consider a weed, that plant had, some sort of, way of helping some other organism that the Potawatomi would either consume or what. So it was just a very well-balanced like respect for all of nature. And so I think that, is great to let shine through in a dish.
What are ramps? It says pickled ramps.
Oh, pickled ramps? Yeah, they're in the onion family. So yeah, they're pickled in rice wine vinegar. So it gives like a nice sharp note, like bright note at the end.
So as you all are enjoying this, I'll just give a little bit of more of some facts about the Potawatomi. So fish was a big part of their diet. Obviously, they fished off the shores of Cedar Lake. The Great Lakes area provided a huge amount of aquatic wildlife for them. So as I said before, they named their seasons after the different foods that they would eat or harvest. So the sucker fish moon is actually for March, so we did pass it up. But The Suckerfish Moon is celebrating the fishing traditions of the Potawatomi. They would even ice fish, which I thought was really interesting. So in that, they had a rich fishing tradition, obviously out here. If you could just kind of imagine, you see there's an illustration of them here in Cedar Lake. They would even fish in the dark for certain species of fish. And they would go out on their canoes and have torches mounted on their canoes. So you can only imagine how beautiful that must have looked in the night across the lake, seeing these torches just glimmer across of all the Potawatomi people fishing. And that was a big community event. They would grill up fish on the open flame. I can only imagine how delicious it must have been. Another interesting thing about hominy is it is corn that's been nixtamalized. And nixtamalization is a process that, as you taste it in the hominy, it's soft, it's flavorful. So that process of nixtamalization actually makes the corn more nutritious, better digestible, and also just more flavor. So I thought that was something that was really awesome that they did that was kind of a foray into the world of science and chemistry.
We are at our last course. I know it's over too soon, but the memories will last a lifetime. All right, so our last one is sassafras ice cream with Juneberry compote and quinoa granola. So sassafras, is got the flavor of root beer. Like we get our root beer from sassafras. Yep, this is what sassafras looks like. The dino leaves, dino footprint leaves. So yeah, I basically wanted to show this is maybe what obviously the Potawatomis didn't eat ice cream. But if they had ice cream, I'm sure they would love root beer floats, So yeah, and then I made a compote with Juneberry, which Juneberry is indigenous to the area, along with pretty much everything else we've done today. That's what the Juneberries look like. And yeah, then the quinoa granola. Quinoa is native to the Americas, but it's mostly found in South America. But we're not gonna split hairs over geography. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of do like a little homage to a root beer float, the most natural root beer float flavor. So the ice cream was made in house, it's made 100%, no additives, no preservatives. It's just all natural flavors. So
Do you have our sassafras to pass around?
Oh yeah, we do. Yeah, if you guys want to give me a moment, I really want you guys to smell sassafras.
So while you're all enjoying your ice cream, some of it is a little bit, as Erik said, loose. That just means it's very, very fresh. It's not completely firmed up. But we are going to be releasing a line of historical themed ice creams that we're excited about this summer. We're going to be serving it for the the ice cream social during the 4th of July Fest. But a little bit about sassafras. The indigenous people use the leaves, root, and bark of the sassafras tree here. As you got to witness, the root is what we use. We actually steeped the milk that was used for the ice cream with the sassafras root, kind of like a tea, and then we strained it out, and then that flavor just imparted really well with the vanilla. So the Potawatomi actually primarily use sassafras root as a tea, the same ways that we steeped it. They would steep it in water, and they actually used it for a variety of illnesses. So cold, fever, they also use it as a digestive aid, and it's just a general health tonic. They would drink sassafras. Another cool thing is that the leaves actually can be used as an antibiotic if you rub it on a wound.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's a pretty interesting piece. So yeah, just enjoy, and then we'll kind of come back with some different cool facts.
All right, guys. If I can get your attention just one last time.
What did you all think, first of all?
I couldn't have done it without these two ladies right here. So everybody, please give a round of applause.
Awesome. So So we wanted just to do a little bit of a recap here. We just wanted to talk a little bit about foraging safety and resources. So some important things about foraging is making sure you have permission to access the property. If it's your own property, all the better. And then beyond that, just make sure that whatever you are foraging is not sprayed with pesticides. That's why it's important to know the property owner, know where are they spraying chemicals, pesticides, etc. So making sure that there's no chemicals whatsoever on your foraged items. Correct identification is a really big thing because there are plants that look an awful lot like another edible plant, but they're absolutely not edible. So part of that is just the knowledge. One awesome thing is, when we were foraging for milkweed, it just popped out everywhere. Like, there's milkweed, there's milkweed. So
yeah, once we learned, once we interacted with them, and they really educated us on milkweed. And once we really got in there ourselves, and after we had plucked a bunch of these milkweed buds, after driving around after that, because we had to go to some place, I'm not going to specify where, because I'm not going to give my locations.
Property manager,
yes.
The groundskeeper.
But yeah, it's fun, just because as we're driving around, we start looking oh, milkweed there, milkweed there. You start seeing it everywhere, and that's really the beauty of foraging. Is once you get started, it really opens your eyes to the possibilities of everything around you. That everything that grows around us has some sort of benefit for us, whether it's we're eating it, if it's a benefit towards the rest of the environment. So I encourage all of you, start getting into foraging. You never know where it's going to take you.
Yes, and that's another thing Nicole said that I really loved is when we were working with the mulberry. She said there's snacks everywhere, and that's so true. Snacks everywhere, and delicious snacks at that, and good for you. I think that things that are grown in our native areas, and the fact that we're living here, we're part of the environment as well. And one also thing I wanted to talk about too is Potawatomi food. If you're interested just to learn more about their culture, both in the past and the current culture, because there are a lot of thriving people of the Potawatomi Nation that are doing some really wonderful things like the Monarch Butterfly Initiative and a bunch of other things. They're actually working to return more to their native roots. Like a lot of us, a lot of us are suffering from different things that have to do with the foods we eat. Whether it is diabetes, high blood pressure, and a bunch of other ailments, digestive issues. And returning back to those roots is really something that can benefit our health, as well as just our relationship with the environment around us. So Potawatomi.org is a really great place to go. It is run by the citizens of the Potawatomi Nation, so you know that it's a authentic source. One person that I stumbled on that I thought was really great was a book called Corn Dance, Inspired First American Cuisine. It is made by Loretta Barrett Odin, and she is a member of the Potawatomi tribe. She is from Shawnee, Oklahoma. She currently lives, I think she moved to New Mexico, but she is an excellent source that has been taught by generations before her how to cook. So I would recommend checking out this book if you want to learn more. And not only that, but a lot of their food have really cool stories behind them, just being passed down through generations. And then also we just wanted to say that we're really doing this in honor of the Potawatomi people and just the indigenous people and the foodways they had. They really looked at the land as not owning the land, but stewarding the land. And I think that we could all take a little piece of that and apply that to our lives, whether we have a tiny yard or we have, we just have some potted plants in a balcony. I think that all of us have our own little ecologies that can make up the bigger puzzle piece. So we just want to acknowledge how much respect they had for the land, and hopefully today we walk away with a little bit more respect for it as well. And I hope that you all start something in your own gardens, or at least explore this a little more. I did want to open up the floor again to our friends from Edifon Farms. I don't know if you guys had any advice about foraging or even cultivating that you wanted to share. If anybody wants to, like, you know,
If anybody has any questions.
forage or even farm some of the things. I know you guys are really successful farms.
We're trying. I would say, yeah, it's important to like learn from other people. Books are really good, but learning from someone else. And I personally ascribe to the idea too that, you know, you can learn from people other than humans. You can watch the plants that grow near you and just pay attention to like what's happening. If a plant doesn't look very healthy, it might not be good for eating. If you're doing something to your space, the land that you're near, and the plants and animals and insects aren't doing great, then, I don't know, change the way you're doing it.
And I was going to say one thing that I thought was really cool was, so the little purple flowers that you guys got as a garnish, the hairy vetch, is actually a cover crop.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even something that was planted originally for consumption, so you want to talk a little bit about just like, how you guys use those?
Yeah, so for anyone that doesn't know, cover crops are basically plants that you grow to benefit the soil in some way. The vetch is a nitrogen fixer, so all plants need a decent bit of nitrogen. You plant beans, peas, vetch, any of these legumes, they associate with little bacteria that grow in their roots, and they breathe a bunch of nitrogen out of the air and turn it into nitrogen that plants can eat.
Kind of same reason why we play the crops.
And the Three Sisters.
And three, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways of looking at anything, I think is one of my personal life philosophies. You can grow a plant for your own consumption, but you can also see what it does to your soil or what it does to the microbiology, what it does for animals. And also, like Anna said, as far as foraging safety, also, you never know what you're sensitive to. Eat a little bit, take a day off, eat a little bit more, just to make sure.
Yeah, and then I wanted to open the floor to any questions you have for us, for Reed, for Julie. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
How are you going to prepare the milkweed flowers?
Milkweed flowers? So the flowers, I think you could probably, I know like they come from the buds, you can steam them, as long as you cook them in, you know, any way, like boil them, steam them, saute them, tempura fry them like I did. Like we stated before, because there is latex in it, you do want to cook it just to kind of denature the latex in it to make it safe to eat. So never eat anything raw unless you're absolutely sure it is safe to eat raw. Otherwise, make sure you're cooking your forageables.
The flowers I've also heard are really good for like infusions. They're really, really fragrant. So you can kind of capture some of that essence in tinctures, vinegars, teas, that kind of thing. And they've got a really strong like pinkish purple color that'll kind of bleed out into whatever you infuse them into. So they make a nice color as well.
And what markets do you go to?
Primarily the Chesterton European Market on Saturdays and Miller Beach on Sundays. And occasionally Crown Point on Saturdays as well when all the stars align.
Anyone else?
And you guys mentioned there's another event similar to this coming up? That's
We do.
gonna-
Not one like this. We do plan on doing another event like this next year. We hope for it to become like an annual thing. So if anybody has any, you know, plants in their yard or on their property that they know are safe to eat, like we would love to, you know, have them for next year or any other event in the future. If you have something you want to contribute to Lassen, just get in touch with Julie here, and it'll help us out. But we do have other events going on later on in the calendar season. I would invite you to go to our website to check it out, to see exactly what we have going on. And I'll kind of let you guys explore that for yourselves. But even next year, we have a lot of fun things planned. I'm like really excited for next year. Like this year is cool. Like I feel like it's more so like our we're kind of like getting our feet in the soil and building our foundations. But next year we have a lot of fun stuff planned. So definitely stay tuned.
Yes, and check out, I don't know, Julie, how much you talk about the dinner cruises or...
On the website, yeah.
Yeah, the dinner cruises, that's something that's going to be a rotating, exciting menu that we're constantly developing. We're going to do a Flavors of Fall Festival. We're going to be a part of the Taylor Ice Fest. We have our art show. So, go onto the website, and the calendar has every event that we have coming up. So, we're really excited. Tell people, invite people. I think that this is something that can really be an exciting chapter. Yes, we're also doing limited catering, depending on what we're able to allocate our time to. But if you're interested, we have a developed catering menu for the Lassens that is a really nice variety of food. So,
Yeah. Any other questions?
awesome. Great. Oh
All
my
right.
gosh, well, thank you.
Thank you very much.